Well, over the years, I talked a lot about the pains of farming in the city. You can tell we got houses there, and then we got a whole bunch of subdivisions over this way. But one issue I've never mentioned, I'm gonna mention today. And I'm not saying someone littered and threw it out there, but when you got this many houses here, I mean, stuff gets out, then wind grabs it, blows it over in the field, and then it completely wraps up one of my closing wheels. She's completely locked up because that's wrapped around there. Alright guys, we rolling right on along this afternoon. I just got done with our second farm for the day, and back here at the shop we'll fill up with another variety before we move on up into Madison County, and then we got to start hauling seed up there. But anyway, as I was finishing up the last farm, I noticed an issue with my air compressor. Every time the air compressor would kick off, I would lose pressure pretty rapidly. Anyway, the air compressor supplies pressure for my clean sweep to raise my row cleaners up or add down pressure to them, and also my furrow force right here. And so anyway, I put my clean sweep in neutral to where it wasn't trying to raise or lift, and then my air pressure stabilized. So I've got a leak somewhere on my clean sweep. We're gonna need to try and trap it down. Right now I got the air pressure cranked all the way on the clean sweep to try and raise the row cleaners all the way up. I'm gonna see if I can hear the air leaking somewhere. I already hear it leaking. Oh, there it is right there. This looks like my fitting broke right there. I wonder if that'll push this in there and stay. Yeah, I need to see if I can find me a new fitting there. I doubt I got one of those 90s. All right, we was able to take the piece off the air hose and then press it up in there, and it seems to be holding. It is leaking a little air. You know, it's not all that critical. I'm gonna try and wrap some electrical tape around there, just try and hold it together long enough for us to get done with corn planting, and I can replace that fitting because we don't have another one here. All right, next up on our variety list is DeKalb 6422. Like I said, we going to Madison County. We're getting in our higher yielding ground, and 6422 really did well in test plots. It's one of the higher performing varieties from DeKalb. I was really wanting 6420, which is a Roundup ready version of this. However, I was not able to get any of it, but I talked with the Bayer rep. They did help me out just a little bit on the price, just try and get the price down a little bit lower. But say we're getting into our more expensive varieties, but it's going on our better ground. This is going up here at Smith Family, but we're going to plant this on the hills up there. They're highly productive hills, but once we get in the bottoms up there, then we'll be changing varieties again for a variety that's better suited. So never planted this before, but done good in plots last year, and anxious to see just what it's going to do. But we've got 22 bags here, Andy, so one full bag in each hopper, and then we need to split 5 bags among 6 hoppers. Well, over the years, I talked a lot about the pains of farming in the city. You can tell we got houses there, and then we got a whole bunch of subdivisions over this way. But one issue I've never mentioned, I'm gonna mention today. And I'm not saying someone littered and threw it out there, but when you got this many houses here, I mean, stuff gets out, then wind grabs it, blows it over in the field, and then it completely wraps up one of my closing wheels. She's completely locked up because that's wrapped around there. If this ground wasn't, golly Bill, I tightened up on that. Let's try this. Ooh, got the wall 1/2 inch. It'll torque some stuff down. But yeah, if this ground wasn't so good up here, I just don't know if it'd be worth the hassle. See what we got here. Cement bag. I bet I know where that come from. So all that newly constructed houses, guarantee you it blew across the road from over there. And there's a whole lot of construction sites that are not necessarily known for their cleanliness. That's where it come from. Now let me show you over here where it was dragging. You see that trench all the way down through there? Guarantee you every seed that was placed, it's drug it to wherever. So we're gonna have 11 out of 12 rows right here. And of course it's gonna be right by the road for everybody to see. But again, talking about technology, the only way I would have noticed that is probably tomorrow morning when I come out to service the planter. Luckily I can notice on my monitor there that the tail wheels here was not making contact with the ground. It lost contact, and that's because it was locked up and riding up. So this precision planting stuff, it's given me some headaches over the last 4 years, but the amount of mistakes that it's caught, before I planted, a whole field with something not working right has been well worth it. Well, you know how they say one man's trash is another man's treasure? Nope. One man's trash is now this farmer's trash. Well, we just about done for today. We've gotten around 25 acres done up here on Smith's family. So total today, I think we've done around 90 acres. So, pretty productive day considering, we had all those plots to put in today. It took quite a bit of time. Then we had to move all the way up here to Madison County. So pretty productive day. So that leaves us with about 145 acres left to do. I guess if I really wanted to have a late night tomorrow, we could probably go ahead and get finished up, but I don't think the rain's supposed to move in until maybe on Wednesday sometime. So looks like we'll be able to get everything in the ground hopefully before the rain gets here. And actually we're getting to the point where I will welcome some rain, because tell you what, some places it's done gotten dry. And I mean really dry. Here's a map of my applied downforce. You see all of that red right down there. No, now those are high compaction areas. Right down here is where we load grain. And then there's a little bit of traffic but thin ground here, and what's it showing is the planter maxing out the downforce that it can apply. So a little bit of rain to soften this ground back up is not going to be the worst thing in the world, that's for dang sure. But anyway guys, we're going to make a couple more rounds. Kelly will be up here to pick us. We'll see you back out here in the morning. Well, I thought about setting my camera out here to catch the sunrise in the morning, but with all this traffic, all these people around here, there's probably a good chance my camera wouldn't be here when I got back out here in the morning. So y'all just enjoy the sunrise from the previous day.
Good morning from the cornfield. It is a balmy day today. High of 90 degrees. This is my jam though. I love heat. I hate the cold. My riding partner and I over here are about to go get in this lovely Karen here and go spray out the rest that I have in this tank up at the upper field. We're in this lower field here, parked away from everything, and Matt and Andy are getting the planter filled up. I think this needs to be an ad for Dodge Ram on the suspension on a lifted truck. That is pretty good. I'm not gonna lie, there's still clearance. There's still clearance. Good Lord. This is Matt Griggs not wanting to hook up a trailer. That's impressive. I'm not gonna lie, that is very impressive. So Mia and I are doing a walk around. I do this every morning. Every time I get into a piece of equipment, I want to walk around, just double check. You never know. Andy has already checked the water and the coolant. It looks good to go so far. We have been having a problem with that, so we're gonna need to look and maybe try and find it when it does that thing that falls from the sky next, and really try and see where it's coming from. So far yesterday, I ran well, did not have any codes pop up, so that is a blessing. Everything, all the tips are spraying good. Normally Gramoxone doesn't clog up the tips, but sometimes you can get that. I am adding Dawn dish soap to the Gramoxone and the Agridex. That was recommended by the Syngenta rep, and a friend of mine told me about that and said, if you add Dawn, it will not stick to the strainers and it will spray great and it won't foam up. So that has actually worked really well. And you can get those little Dawn, not like the cheap knockoff. You have to get the actual Dawn. You can get those at Dollar General. That much. That's all you need is one little bottle, throw it in with your tank, and it works wonders. My passenger princess, I'm giving her a little time to run around before we're in the cab for a little while, but she's doing really well. Ah, yes, the sounds of nature, folks. Gotta love it.
Man, we blowing some dust now. We're over here where we smoothed out where they cleared a couple winters ago, and they might have gotten a sprinkle over here since we done it, but they ain't got much at all as far as rainfall, that's for dang sure. It's sure enough getting dry over here. And then my road cleaner's back down. Yeah, I think we got a pretty good chance of rain coming in Thursday or so, and I sure hope we get it. I mean, we got plenty of moisture in the soil to get seeds up. I mean, we're not getting that dry, but we're a lot drier than we normally are this time of year. Hope that's not a sign of things to come later on this summer. Now that plowed up ground, it might be too dried out to get anything up until we get a rain. Yeah, I'd love to see an inch and a quarter rain, preferably a slow rain, preferably not a cold rain, moisten things up a little bit, and then if the forecast looks good, maybe fall right into planting cotton first part of next week. That would suit me just fine. So right over top of this hill, you can see where we did all of that plowing. Well, up until last winter, we had a big grove of trees that come all the way out here to where we plowed. So, you know, we had a whole bunch of short passes over here. And then, you know, we had more passes. You can see where the cover crop starts. You know, we had more passes right there. And then when we get over the top of the hill, there was another grove of trees. I may adjust my furrow force all the way up to lift my road cleaners because I don't want them digging in that soft soil there and making trenches that we're going to get a lot of erosion out of. Clean sweep, not furrow force, Matt. Keep your term straight. Then as we come out of it, we'll let our road cleaners back down. We're running about 40 psi of lift there. Try and give us a little bit more weight on the row unit to increase the downforce because we're having a hard time with this dry soil. But anyway, here we are on top of the hill, and then you can see where we plowed again. There's another grove of trees, and then the green on the other side was another short section of road. So we had 1, 2, 3 sets of rows. And, you know, because of the trees in the way, you know, we had to do a whole lot of turnaround. We had inroads and stuff. Anytime you have inroads, you're turning around, you're going to have crop damage and everything else. So when the landlord approached me a couple years ago, said, hey, what do you think about, you know, I need to spend a little money for taxes. What do you think about getting a track hoe out here and getting those trees cleared up? I was like, heck yeah. I was so happy. But I mean, this is a nice big field right here. You know, I really enjoy farming everything. The only bugaboo about it was right over here when we got over this side, you know, we had to do a whole lot of turnaround. We had short passes. Now that we got those trees cleared up, I mean, we got nice long passes for the vast majority of this field. You know, for me, it makes it a whole lot more efficient to farm because we're not always turning around. But also, I mean, there's going to be a yield increase too because there's less crop we're running over doing all that turning around. All those sections back there where we, you know, have to be turning around, you know, we're gonna have nice crops that haven't been run over, whatever, you know. And also we gained about 4.7 acres total. So you know, right now, you know, that ground's not going to be very productive. You know, all the, you know, destruction we've done, pulling up trees, all the plowing and everything else, you know, it's not going to be productive right now. But, you know, after, you know, a few years of fertilizer, chicken litter, growing cover crops, not plowing it up, you know, it'll get stabilized and the productivity on it, you know, should rise to become pretty good. But for right now, I'm just going to enjoy making these long passes, not having to turn around all the time.
Well, I know you can't really tell how much is in there, but that little window right there still being blue means there's just a little bit left, which kind of works out because I have just a little bit left. I'm hoping I've got the perfect amount to finish this farm. I mean, I may have just a pass too much, but we are slowly going down. Yeah, it distracted me. But oh, he's got an excavator bucket here. Holy moly! All right, moment of truth. I believe that's gonna be like the perfect amount to finish. Still spreading as we speak. I'm gonna go slow on this pass just to make sure, so it was meant to be. Oh, it's getting grayer back there. I may run out. If I run out 20 feet short, that's gonna be exciting. Yeah, as soon as that little window right there turns gray, we are empty. Still a little blue. Oh, come on. We have this much left. Alright, my switch is off and I still see something coming out the back, so let's just go see how perfectly unplanned amount we got. This is how you get up one of these things. You grab a tire tread, yeah, and grab up there. Man, oh man, talk about perfect. I had just a tiny bit more, but that's all you can ask for right there. Phew. It's sunny and getting warm.
All right, this spot right here is where Andy and me got stuck. That did not have, you know, no bottom to it, stump hole or whatever. And it has successfully been planted. Now let's just hope we don't have a rainy season during corn harvest and I sink the combine there.
The low rider is a little higher.
Yeah, we got a load here on the old 1500. Apparently my tailgate's locked. All right, we got our last two varieties of seed on here. It seems like I've been changing varieties a lot this year. Well, I have, just trying to minimize our seed costs and also be very exact about putting the right variety on the right acre because it is so critical. Anyway, what's going in the planter next is DeKalb 6839. Probably haven't heard of that variety either, just like most of these others. You probably heard of DeKalb 6835. Well, this is the Roundup Ready version of 6835. I was wanting the conventional variety of it, 6837, but was not able to get that, but was able to get the Roundup Ready. So we're going to lower that seed cost just a little bit. Now this is 118 day, and without having the BT gene in here, we are running a little bit of risk of worm damage. But you know, for years I've used a Pioneer 118 day variety as my refuge and haven't noticed, you know, any, you know, excessive feeding or anything like that. So hopefully we'll be all right on this variety and definitely at a lower cost per acre on our seed. So anyway, this prescription is calling for 26 bags, so put 2 bags in each hopper and then split you know, 1 bag over 6 hoppers and get me up and going again. Come on, hop to it.
26 bags?
Chop chop.
I didn't know that, you know, we were like, he's like the captain and we're just supposed to be, yes sir!
Come on, I'm ready to get back in the AC. It's hot out here.
It's hot.
Oh, I said that. Oh.
All right, we finally got some weight on these hoppers. I'll help out a little bit with that down pressure issue, at least until the hoppers start getting low again. Yeah, that decab 6835 refuge variety, it's supposed to be decab's top dog. I tell you what, it's got some, I just put some big old kernels in the planter. I think those were 58-pound bags. They wouldn't like to tote around. This ought to be my highest yielding corn of the year, hopefully. As you can see right over here on our population, we're dropping this at 30,000 down here in this bottom. You know, I expect this to be probably the highest yielding field out of the whole year, and that's what we're managing for. We look over here, say we got an average spacing of 5.5 inches between seed, and that's about as close as you want to stack corn seed together, unless you're under some kind of ultra high yield, you know, like competition style, and you know, really pouring on, you know, the fertilizer, the foliar fertilizer, and all the different things that a lot of these guys use. But again, like I said, you know, that's not what we're shooting for. That's not what we're managing for. We're managing for good, sustainable, reliable, consistent yields that's gonna give us a profit and keep us in business. All right, all 112 acres here on Smith family is done. Down to our last 2 farms. However, the next 30-acre farm we gotta go to is over that direction. Well, Jackson is over here. The way we normally go is to go down that road and go all the way around to get back over there. That's going to be a lot easier drive, less traffic. At least once I go about a mile, it'll be less traffic. I can go this way and take a shortcut, but it's guaranteed to be more traffic. But it's 4:30, school, the school traffic should have let out by now. I'm gonna brave it. I'm gonna take the shortcut. Let y'all ride along and see just how bad it's gonna be. Well, that definitely wasn't easier than going the other way. I do believe it was just a little bit quicker. Anyway, we got a couple small fields here by the driveway, then got a bigger field across the tree line there. We got probably 30 acres total here. This is all I'm gonna try and get done today. Maybe get home just a little bit earlier tonight than normal, and leave us with a really, hopefully, easy day tomorrow. Well, it looks like my neighbor over here is doing with his cover crops what a lot of folks have cussed me for not doing with my cover crops over the years. It looks like he's cutting it for hay, and if past years are any indication, I believe he's going to actually make some haylage out of that and, you know, wrap all of his bales in plastic for some good green silage, basically. And that's all fine and well. This farmer actually grows cattle, and but I'll tell y'all what I've been saying for years. I am feeding livestock with my cover crops. It just so happens that all my livestock's underground. All my soil microorganisms and everything I'm trying to feed. Those are the livestock that I care about. All right, guys, we just on the verge of getting corn planting done. Before we do, we got one more farm and one more variety left to plant. All right, what we got here is one of my, well, it's probably my favorite modern variety, newer variety, DeKalb 6999. It's a high yielding variety. Is it any higher yielding than 6835? Probably not, but this variety right here has got the biggest ear I've ever seen on a corn plant, and it is one of those varieties that makes you feel good. So I had a hard time. I couldn't leave it out. It's a fully traded virgin, so full price, but I mean, I like this variety so much I couldn't leave it out. So we're gonna put it on the last 30-acre farm in a bottom, and if I know anything, regardless of what the rest of my corn crop looks like, I'll be able to go by this field. It's going to be right on the road, and I'll be able to feel good about my corn crop, at least for a little while. Anyway, we got 12 bags there. My prescription's calling for 9.67 bags. We're also going to use this on the corn maize, but the corn maize is still a month and a half away from being planted. But looking at my hoppers here, we probably got a total of around, I'm guessing around 2 bags in here. So rather than putting 10 bags in, let's put in 8 bags, and that ought to get us pretty dang close. I might have to crack open another bag to finish up, but that ought to get us pretty close. All right, it may be middle afternoon, but we are finally getting started on the last field. I was supposed to be done planting corn 3-4 hours ago, but we was servicing the planter and filling up with seed this morning, and I noticed one of my DeltaForce automated control boxes on top of the DeltaForce. I guess a stick or something popped up from the planter unit yesterday and hit it just right. You know, it broke it off to where it actually wasn't, you know, sending any air to the airbag. So I'm gonna have to go look back over my maps to see how long I've been planting without one of the DeltaForce on one of the units actually working, and most likely probably leaving an open seed trench. Hope it wasn't too awful many acres. You know, normally that's something that I can see on this, but you see I can see 2 different things. I normally keep track of my population and my applied downforce, because those are going to be the 2 main things, but I can select how much I can see right here the closing margin on the tail wheels, but normally I don't monitor that. I might check it occasionally through the day, but I just didn't happen to check it yesterday. But I would have seen it right there if I'd happened to been checking it. Everything would have shown up as blue as lost contact. But anyway, yet again, that's one more freaking mistake during planting season here that I didn't need to make. Hopefully it did it right there at the tail end, but you know, I have to go back and check my maps and see. But anyway, this is all we like right here. As you can see, there's no burned down strips here. We didn't run my hood rig in this just because I mean, most of what you see out there is winter weeds. There is some volunteer weed and a little bit of scattered cover crop, but not very much at all. This is going to be pretty much a no-till situation in this field. All right, I just looked back at the map of my last field, and I seen exactly where it started. See that blue line right there? That means it lost ground contact. And I see the arrow tell me which way I was going. I was going this way right here, and all of a sudden it started right when I went over a terrace right here. That's where it started, and unfortunately, that blue line is over all the field except for the inrows here, here, and then these 2 fields that I planted before. Crap. So I probably got 23 acres, 21, 22, 23 acres with 1 closing wheel that wasn't working. Well, that sucks. Could have been worse though. I could have been planting all freaking day with it like that. Normally that's not a screen that I have to watch. Normally if something happens or there, you know, I've got a warning pop up, but for that particular situation, that's not something that a warning would pop up for, unfortunately. All right guys, here it is, last pass of corn planting 2025. I do believe it is the actual last pass. There should have to be no replanting with the phenomenal planting season we've had for corn. Every single seed ought to come up, have a picket fence stand, and be well on its way to 200 plus bushel of corn. Well, I can hope about the second part, but I sure do expect the first part. We ought to get a dang near picture perfect stand. All right, the last little sliver. That's it. We done. Or are we? There's something I forgot about. I'll see y'all back out here in the field here, oh, probably about 45 minutes. All right, like I said, we're not quite done. We're back here on the center farm, and I never got my end rows planted right here because I was saving them for my sweet corn. Yeah, the field corn is definitely important. I don't know if it's as important as my sweet corn, though. I sure do like having some sweet corn to eat on all year long. So we're gonna put a little bit of it here in the planter. We got a little bit saved over from last year too. What variety is this? I'm sure there's some of y'all wanting to know. Yeah, that's what it is. It's a Roundup Ready variety. And it's sure been sweet the last 2 years, so we're gonna do it again. But before we plant, I wanna go out here and see what my corn looks like that we planted. It was last Thursday, today's Wednesday, so it's been in the ground right at 7 days. It should, with the temperatures we've had, sunshine we've had, it shouldn't be too far from coming on up, breaking the soil. All right, no, y'all can't see it. I mean, that one just popped the ground within the last few hours right there. If he just popped the ground, his neighbors shouldn't be very far away. All right, there's the next one. It might emerge overnight. We're in an area of the field that's pretty low population, so they're spaced out a pretty good ways. There's number 3, about to pop the soil. It kind of grew away from right in the middle of the seed trench. That's a good sign that your sidewall is busted up. That FurrowForce does a dang good job. There's an old soybean stalk from last year, and here's our seed trench. I'd say our RTK is pretty dead on. All right, there's number 4. Yeah, I mean, at least right here in this spot, I mean, they're all gonna emerge within probably 4 to 6 hours of each other. I'm tickled. That's about perfect. Number 6, just like a millimeter below soil surface there. Number 7, emerged within the last couple hours. And that even emergence is the first step to getting good consistent yields, because you want all your corn plants to emerge at as close to the same time as you can. That way they're all at the same growth stage, because if any of them are lagging and coming up, they'll be behind, a growth stage or so, and rather than putting on an ear, they'll serve more like a weed between, the neighboring corn plants, and will drag yield down, and you got a wasted spot for an ear there. So getting good early even emergence is absolutely critical. All right, enough digging out here. Let's get corn planting wrapped up with our sweet corn. All right, we're being very judicious with how much we're putting in there. Y'all thought field corn was expensive? You ought to price you out some sweet corn. I'm gonna say somewhere around $600 to $800 a bag for like maybe 30,000 kernels. It's pricey. All right, we're running manual rate. We want about 1 plant per foot, so we'll set our population 13,000. So you got to plant this little area right here. Well, I tell you what, the singulation with precision planting and sweet corn not near as good as it is field corn. It's singulating about 97% rather than the 99.8, 99.9 I'm used to. And we decided to put it right up here, right behind my in-laws' house, because hopefully that house being right there, the coons won't attack our sweet corn and get it before we have a chance to get it. We did that last year with a landlord's house where they had a dog outside, so that helped some too, but we had a whole lot less damage from coons than what we had in past years. All right, there we are. Corn planting is now officially done. Anyway, guys, hope y'all liked our corn planting videos. The next planting video coming up will be cotton, and if the forecast holds out the same, you know, today's Thursday, I'm hoping Monday we'll be putting some cotton seed in the ground earlier than what we're normally able to. I'm excited about that. Also, guys, y'all want to support us and our channel, be sure to hit that like button. If you like our content, we'd appreciate a subscribe too. Every little bit helps the YouTube algorithm and helps get us out there a little more. We also got our online store. If you want a shirt, hat, tumbler, license plate, etc., be sure to go to www.farmmerchbin.com and get you some Griggs Farms gear. Anyway, guys, appreciate all y'all support. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.